Yep.
without further ado, I'd like to introduce to everyone who's tuning in, wherever you are, either you're in Middle East, in Europe, in Asia, in Singapore, in Australia, and the fans of our dear friend Johnny. Just
Yep.
want to introduce him a little bit. He's been in Australia for many years, and actually he started with this new career and is very successful with Ray White. And Ray White is one of the biggest real estate companies. And Johnny is a realtor, and I would like to invite him to share with everyone his insights of the Australian real estate. And because people know that I'm also a real estate investor myself in France, I'm very interested in what Australia has. And with this pandemic, I think people are reassessing their lives while they're in quarantine and isolation. People are reassessing their lives. Things that people were afraid to do, or were pulling themselves back when this
Yep.
pandemic is over. And I would say that thank God, it will be a second life for a lot of us. And things that we were
Yeah, true.
hesitant to do, things that we dare not do, things that we were always been holding back. Hey, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to have a change in my life. Things that were holding back, I think with the second life that God is giving all of us, and praise God for that and thank God for that. I think a lot of us
Yeah,
will step out. A lot of us will step out to embrace
definitely.
a new life, a new direction,
Yeah.
um, and new things that in the past they have never wanted to do because they had so many things to pull them back. But with
Yeah.
the new life that God is giving it to us, wherever we are, once this is over, I'm very sure that people will embrace a new life as a new chance, as a new direction, to
Amen to
come
that,
out.
Vicky.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
so
would like
it's
to
not only life, Yeah.
show and tell the audience a little bit about Johnny. He's now at
Yeah.
Gold Coast. Um, and okay, one thing about I know you through your Facebook, which is so real. I love the pictures you post that you're in the great outdoors.
Yeah, but
And
I
the
only
great
started Facebook. I
big
only
picture
started
of the
Facebook.
nature in Australia. That's I think what Singapore really, really
Yeah.
lacks. And you've got like six to a pending 10 million people coming in on a little island. It's really overpopulated. Things that is huge, is vast with the nature. I think it's something that Singaporeans are always looking forward to in their dreams. But
Yeah,
I think it
true.
could be real right now. So Johnny, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit and also tell the audience about where you're coming from and your
Okay.
background with Ray White and your expertise in the real estate before we go into some of the things that will interest me and interest the audience.
Sure. Sure. All right. You see, I
Take it
actually
away.
only started. Hey.
Take it away.
Yeah, yeah, all right, man. All right, let's go. Yeah. Okay, so you see, first things first, all right? This whole COVID situation, this last 1 year, and now everything, you have to admit, is improving. So people need to get out of their shell, come out of your shell, go out there and breathe the air. Go out there and talk to people, all right? This time when during the COVID, right, you had so much interaction with family. Do you realize that? We had so much interaction with family and not really friends, because you can't go out, and even if you meet friends, it has to be during stage 2 or something like, was less than 5 people or something like that. But you had more interaction with family. Parents were able to interact with their children, and grandparents were able to interact with their children as well. So family cohesiveness actually came together. People had time to sit at home and call one another and ask them, how are you? When was that the last time, many years
Very
ago
true.
when you did that? Yeah. Everybody wanted to show off on Facebook. Like, I got Facebook only in 2016, and I don't want to discuss my age, but yeah, I should have done it a long time ago. But when I got here, I've been up and down in Australia for the last 10 years. And during that time, I was still working in Singapore for Royal Properties Group. I'm a real estate agent there. I'm also the co-owner of SingaporeRental.com. All right. And what I've done is I put all of those things on on standstill at this point of time for actually this last 1 year, especially during this COVID period. My partner, he's not feeling too well now, and his name is Jim Ellis. And what we're doing is we're putting that on a standstill now. And then I had this thought, why don't I try something else? You know, in another country. I come here for fishing and kayaking and do lots of stuff here because my brother lives here. And I was thinking, maybe I should try going there and try real estate there, right? And you see, I always do crazy things like that. And I thought it's the most craziest thing that I've ever done in my life. Because I can tell you it's not easy, okay?
Yeah.
Those guys who are thinking like, say, wow, hey, you go Australia, wow, become real estate agent, wow, very good. Huh? I can tell you, to even see your first sale, right, it could take months and months, you know. Now I'm with, I'm lucky. I know some good people, and some good people have helped me, you know, thank God for that. And I've got into a project development, and at the same time, because I live in the rural area, because I love nature and I love fishing and, you know, catch and cook and all of these things, right? And I was looked up by Ray White, by a rural principal over here, and he asked me to join his company because I just live nearby. And yeah, and that was it. And I could go up and down the coast because I am actually a border resident, which means that Queensland is up here, like that's Queensland, and then this is New South Wales. Well, Ray White Mugwalamba is just somewhere around here, you know? So we're just here. So now I'm licensed. I'm licensed in Singapore, of course. I still hold my license in Singapore. I actually fly down to do my CPDs. Thank God this year, you know, they have these Zoom CPDs and all that. And so I still maintain my Singapore license. I've got a certificate in foreign investment as well. And then over here, got myself licensed in New South Wales and Queensland. Now, all of that just happened like a whirlwind, like a train in the last 3 to 4 years, because of course, you know, you got the courses, you got the exams and everything. But here I am sitting down talking to the wonderful, great Vicky from France, Bordeaux, and there in Singapore. Yes, Singaporeans are like all over the world, you know. We should all unite and help the world in, like, you know, many ways, because we're such a multicultural country. And 我可以讲华语, 我 boleh cakap Melayu, 我也要讲 Hokkien way, you know, and I speak English. It's all in, you know, it's all in. Yeah, Vicky. So thank you for looking me up. I'm not very out there on social media or over advertising myself because of some privacy matters that I have to take care of, especially with my clients, because development project clients and all, they like to exercise some privacy. So I've kept my leads all to a generic level, but I'm always open to a call or advice, or anybody who want to invest in Australia, in the Gold Coast, any part of Australia. Ray White covers the whole of Australia. All right. So if I have to fly down to Perth,
I would like to thank you. I forgot that. I would like to thank you for being on my platform, on my channel. You've been so wonderful. And the first few interactions when I had with you, I think it was 2 years ago, you know, over the phone call, and then I looked at your Facebook. And I mean, fate has brought us back together. And because I remember you're such a presence, that's why it stuck in my brain. So when I remembered about Australia, hey, my husband was saying, hey, why don't we, you know, explore, maybe divest out of Europe and then come back to Asia. So that kept me thinking, hey, I think I should call you up because you have such a energy, such a presence, and I took.
Oh, thank you, Vicky.
And that's why I feel, hey, this is someone that I really should speak to. And knowing your expertise in a short interaction that we had, and I want to thank you once again for being on the platform. So without further ado, you know, you were telling me about the situation in Australia and the world situation. You know, things are very fluid in the world with the pandemic, but it's going to be over. It will not stay on forever, and the lives are going to move on. And with the general election coming up in the US, things are going to change. How about the
Yeah,
situation
definitely.
in Australia? Would you like to tell us the situation in Australia?
Yeah, you see,
Yeah,
even the everybody is taking a very positive outlook now, and I
yeah,
would have to say, if you're serious about your life, this last 7 or 8 months, you've been just sitting there waiting for it to rain. It's starting to rain. All right, it's starting to drizzle. So you better start planning how are you going to carry out, because you're all refreshed and energetic now because you guys have been sitting down there and planning. Oh, I could have done this. Oh man, I should have done that. Mate, I should have done this, or I should
going
have
through
done
the
that.
bucket
Now
list,
is the
right?
time. Yeah, now is the time you start planning, because by next year, January, February, all of you will be masked out. You can put on your lipstick and you can go and do your dentistry and have a big smile and go out there and make some money, and
Yeah,
enjoy yourselves, right?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
Vicky, these questions that you gave me, I have to say they're quite in depth, but I'm happy to do it for you
yeah.
because you are an outstanding lady. You're sort of like me, but you're actually way up there because you've already you didn't really leave Singapore, but you went out and you explored into Europe. You've owned properties. Now you've got properties and investments in various parts of Europe, especially France. And you're talking to people like us, and you're connecting us all together, and hearing what we have to say and sharing this information. I mean, that's like the greatest thing ever. So
Yeah,
kudos to
yeah.
you, man. Kudos to
Thank
you. My
you.
head's out to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You know, the Australian government, right? They are always trying to move forward. So how is the Australian government and the Australian election impacting on any investment in real estate? And you know, real estate is a long-term investment.
Yes, I have to say, you see, Scott Morrison is a very investor-friendly prime
Yeah,
minister. However, there are departments and like authority boards that look through every application for investment in Australia, which is good. It's not as open as you have it like in the US, where anybody can come in and buy anything. There is certain form of controls. It boils down to the end of the day of whether that investment assimilates with what is presently available there, including jobs,
yeah,
for the local. Let's say if a commercial property is bought, will it create jobs for the locals there, in that town or in that area?
yeah.
So on the whole scale, I would have to say, on politically, it is very investor friendly, as long as you follow the process, and yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
that's how it
generally,
is.
Singaporeans,
I love it.
wherever they go, they always try to follow, very transparent.
Singaporean Indian, which is different from Indian or a Sri
Yeah,
Lankan Indian or
yeah,
even a Malaysian Indian or an American Indian.
yeah,
We're all different. Yeah, a
yeah.
Singaporean, basically, I would have to say we are very user friendly.
Yeah,
you know?
and I would think that Singaporeans are very well respected. And when any government
Oh
deal with a
yeah,
Singaporean, they know that Singaporeans will follow the regulation. They are
yeah,
transparent
true.
and to a very, very large, and I could testify, Singaporeans who do go abroad, they have a certain stature, they are really tested. And the governments do feel that, hey, these are people who are very transparent, honest group of people, professional, I should say.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes, yes.
yeah. So I would think that if anyone who's coming into Australia, definitely they will meet this kind of criteria by the Australian government. And one of the first
Yep.
questions I would like to ask, really from my heart, is that what are attraction factors for a person like me, a person like who's going to assess their lives, like okay, is Australia a good place? And good
Good
is
point.
defined by
Yeah.
you. So I would like you to hear from you. What are these good factors, four-letter word, and
Okay.
attractions for a person like myself to invest in Australia? Number one is invest, or to invest a life, not just invest in the money, but invest in a life, like what you're doing now. What are these factors?
Uh-huh. All right. Let's talk about real estate investment first.
Yeah,
All right. There are two type of buyers. One is the non-resident buyer, and then one is the temporary resident buyer. Usually, most foreigners who come into Australia, they come in through a temporary resident visa. Some of these temporary residents are loaded, right? And they don't want to rent; they want to buy. So in any case, right, whether for a non-resident or for a temporary resident, right, they can only purchase a new property. All right. So that's the catch there. All right, but which is good. You know that this property is brand new and you're going to be living in there. Or even if, let's say, if you're non-resident and you want to invest over here, you know that there's not going to be any defects on the property because it's brand new. If there is any defects, it's probably builder defects which you can address very quickly. Right.
Very good.
Okay. Now, before I step into this arena, all right, I need to maintain and I need to mention that as an investor or a buyer, all right, you need to have the buyer beware, all right? Now, buyer beware meaning always educate yourself, seek independent advice. Independent advice as in you, yourself, you, the independent advisor for yourself. You go out there, say through the internet, newspapers, look at some statistics and get yourself informed first before you go out there and approach a consultant or an estate agency or an agent. Get some knowledge for yourself, like what you like, what you really want to do, what do you want out of this, what kind of house you like. Okay, you like this type of house. Around how much does this house? So this kind of knowledge, it will help you so much, when you actually addressing a consultant or talking to a consultant, because they know what is out there. All right. And when you bring to them, like, I like this kind of thing because I think I will earn some profits from it through the years. I'm looking at some good ROI. So they will get a good picture of, okay, you know what you're talking about. If you go there and you just tell them, say, hey, yeah, so, and so buyer beware is very important. And I know you have that, because I saw some of your other interviews as well, Vicky, with other investors. And you guys, come to subjects where even I am sometimes baffled, where you guys say, ROI is not important. And I'm like, wow, look at this. Here are a bunch of investors who are saying that ROI is not as important as you want to know that what is the political climate, what is the economical climate of that country, which is two very important factors. And for a good savvy investor, right, you need to have that knowledge, find out about that country, what's the political scenario like there, at least this year and the next few years, how is electoral things going on there,
So
and also the economy.
how would you describe Australia in this aspect, the political situation?
Well, Australia has a very upturned curve, actually. If you look at Australia, right, there are some times when the economy is just on a pretty much general standstill, but it always has that tipping curve. It always has the tipping curve going up because politically, right, a lot of the Australian politicians are good businessmen and they've got good contacts with Australasia, like Indonesia. I mean, let's not talk only about China, all right? I mean, there are some Chinese businessmen who are very well versed, who are registered sellers over here that I've served before, and they own restaurants, they own libraries and things like that. They own that land, they build a library or they build some things like that. So not all Chinese investors are bad, all right? I mean, you got to look at it from a world point of view. Like there are investors from Dubai, there are investors from Indonesia, but at the end of the day, all these investors that come in, they're all connected some way or somehow with a friend over here who has some form of influence, who, advise them on what are the steps to take in order to come in here and invest. So I think this political and economic thing actually combines together, and how these people go out there and look for the right type of people to come in and put and park their funds and not only make money for themselves but for the country on as a whole, Vicky. Yeah.
I also would like to find out about myself very interested in the different categories, and because I've done research in Malaysia, I've done research in Europe. What categories of property investment are there in Australia? Different categories. Can you just like shoot off
Okay.
the different
Okay.
categories of properties?
Okay, sure, no problem. But Vicky, before I touch on that subject, right, I forgot to mention something.
Yeah.
In the next few years, even investors like yourself,
Yeah.
all right, moving forward, right, it can be Australia. Maybe somebody in the States might be watching this video. Somebody in Kazakhstan might be watching this video, all right? Now, for all
Yeah.
investors,
Yeah, it's international.
in the next year or so, in the next 1 or 2 years, right, before they go into a new investment, what they need to do is look at the country, right, that is best managing their COVID situation.